Small business war stories. Small businesses are the soul of America. And this is where they tell their stories. I am your host, Pablo Fuentes. Hey, lovers of small businesses and good stories in general. Welcome to episode 64 of Small Business War Stories. And today it's time to get funky. One of my favorite blues artists is Hound Dog Taylor, personally, and he's got a great song, Let's Get Funky. I think it's in Rum Diary, the movie about Hunter S. Thompson's life. But I digress. We're going to get funky in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And here I went to Meow Wolf. And if you haven't heard of Meow Wolf, you should check it out. It is insane. It is an artist collective that they turn into a incredible journey that you immerse yourself. It's impossible to explain other than to experience it. But imagine a modern art museum that you touch and experience and you live through by three-dimensionally participating in the art. That's kind of the best way I can explain it, but it's really an artist collective, and it's an amazing growing business that is privileging and publicizing the importance of art in Santa Fe, and they're actually talking about expanding to other cities as well. So check out Meow Wolf with John Feins. This is a really cool episode. He tells lots of cool stories. This episode was part of the Soul of America 2 tour, and as such, it was sponsored by FreshBooks. FreshBooks is a small business bookkeeping software company, and they help you if you need to take online payments as a small business, or send out invoices, or take project deposits, or more importantly, manage all of the back end, the financial aspect of your business, to know that your business is running well and you can continue to focus on it. This is what you need to use the FreshBooks platform. Go check them out. It's freshbooks.com/war stories, and you can enter small business war stories in the How Did You Hear About Us section, and that'll help us, it'll help them, it'll help you. Everybody wins. The episode is also brought to you by Proven. And Proven is a company I started. Proven.com is a small business information hub and a small business hiring tool. So if you need help finding employees, check out Proven.com. And if you want to learn more about how to run your small business better, check out blog.proven.com. And all of the episodes from Small Business War Stories are there, as well as all kinds of other articles about hiring and about technology and about other aspects of running your business. We want to help you do it better. So send us your ideas. I want to hear about them. You can email me at podcast@proven.com, and I will personally read that email. And if we use your idea, I'll give you a shout out on the show. Without further ado, I do want to get into today's episode with John Feins of Meow Wolf in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And we are live here this morning in beautiful Santa Fe, New Mexico. And this morning, I have the pleasure of sitting down with John Feins, and Director of Marketing of Meow Wolf.
Good morning, Pablo. Thanks for being here at House of Eternal Return.
Welcome to the show. It's so cool to be here. I'd heard a lot about Meow Wolf from friends in Austin. You know, keep Austin weird. We're all about the vibe you're putting out here. And I can't believe I'm actually here, interviewing you.
Well, it was really exciting to hear that you were here. We love Austin. We got a lot of friends there. We are. It's no secret that we're really strongly considering expanding Meow Wolf into Austin with its own creation there, a different kind of permanent exhibition. Yeah, we're talking about it. We've got a lot of friends there, and we've been looking into it, and we hope someday to be there. But in the meantime, we like to go and visit and party. And we love it when Austinites and other Texans come and hang out here in Santa Fe. And
we just come get weird.
Yeah.
So I went through your exhibition. What do you call it? A collective exhibition space? What's the name of it?
You know, that's a good question. It's so unique. It's such a one-of-a-kind. It's such a new way of telling a story. One of the things people need to know is that it's not a museum. It's not an art gallery. It's not a children's playhouse. It has elements of all those things. but at its core, it's a story. When you walk inside to the installation, which is one way that we might typically call it, you are walking into a story. It's walking into a science fiction novel. It's a fantasy story. At first, you see the house, the Victorian house, and there's a family. That's a family's house, the Selig family. And when you walk in, it's a living room and a kitchen. Everything looks pretty normal. But as you probably experienced yesterday, as you start to maybe poke around, maybe try some doors and some
washing machines.
If you go into the laundry room, it's going to be a lot more of an adventure than you've ever had in a laundry room. You probably hate laundry like I do.
Well, now I know where all the socks went.
That's right.
I actually took a video of basically me coming into the washing machine, and then like we're going full in. It's wild. It's very hard to explain. It's actually almost. I mean, we're gonna try to like explain a little bit of what's going on, but it's almost better to not know too much about it and just come in and experience it, right?
You know, great point, Pablo, because you'll notice that we don't have a little explainer brochure up at the front, and when you walk in, there's no signage, there's no directionals. You know, go here, go there. This is it's immersive. Part of the idea. This is a story, and you immerse yourself into it. When you go through those doors, you are in that world, and you can go any direction you want.
Yeah.
You can, you might want to read the diary of the girl in her bedroom, or you might want to go look at the family's videos in the living room. You might not even want to engage with the story. You don't have to. You can just treat it as an experience and take a look at the creativity and the different kinds of things that are going on in there. Yeah. That's a legitimate way to go too. We have no rules, no regulations, no advice, and we often don't like to tell people what's going on because the idea is you immerse yourself and have that sense of wonder and just explore and take your own path.
You experience it as it comes to you.
You bet.
Yeah. So maybe to just put a little bit of boundaries for people who may not know what Meow Wolf is. So Meow Wolf is how many square feet?
Well, Meow, let's...
I'm sorry, the House of Eternal Return versus Meow Wolf.
Good point.
So
yeah, just to get a little nomenclature real quick. I mean,
a
lot of people do call the whole thing Meow Wolf, and that's fine. But Meow Wolf is an art collective founded in 2008 in Santa Fe. Just a few scrappy... art kids trying to do cool things together with no money, and in 2011 they did a larger installation called the Do Return at CCA, Center for Contemporary Arts.
Okay.
And it was a great big ship.
That's nearby here in Santa Fe?
Yeah. Okay. It was just a little bit up the hill towards Museum Hill, and very nice facility. And the Do Return was a big ship that kind of traveled through space and time, a similar fantasy story. Mm-hmm. Way more people came during that, I think it was a 3-month run, than was expected. And that's what gave the collective the idea, like, wow, people are kind of into the maximalist, fantastic ways, vibrant, colorful ways that we tell stories. Maybe we need a permanent exhibition.
Okay.
And so flash forward a couple years later, and they were kind of like, geez, we're on our last legs. We don't know that we can make this work. And they're looking for that home run, that big space. They see the Silva Lanes, the bowling alley that was the place that we're now sitting in. This was a bowling alley.
That makes sense.
And it had been empty for 8 years. You know how it is here in the world now. No one goes bowling, and no one goes to, everything's Netflix and video games. And so the bowling alley just couldn't sustain in the digital age. But who needed a 30,000 square foot building in the industrial part of town? Nobody needed it. So it just sat here empty. And Meow Wolf, didn't have basically a dime, and the price tag on the building was $1 million. But one of the founders had done a little work with George R.R. Martin, creator of Game of Thrones, lived in Santa Fe since '79, and he'd restored a really wonderful Art Deco theater near the rail yard, the Jean Cocteau. And so we kind of threw a Hail Mary to George, like, hey, how about buying a bowling alley for $1 million? And he's like, what? Yeah. And but as the discussions continued and he understood what the vision was, he ultimately said, great, I love this kind of stuff, this fantastic, otherworldly, greatly imaginative kind of story. So
he's thought of a couple things.
He's thought of exactly. And so he bought the building, and he put in even more money than the price of the building in terms of retrofitting it, HVAC and digital internet, all the things that needed to be done to make it a 21st century facility.
So he owns this building.
He owns the building. He's not a creative director. He's not a partner, as it were, but he's our landlord, essentially. He bought the building, owns the building, and gave us a very favorable tenant arrangement to help us get going. He really is the the patron, the godfather of the situation. We owe him a tremendous
Thank you,
debt
George.
of gratitude. Yeah, he really took a chance on some young people, and boy, he had great vision because it's turned out fabulous. And so, House of Eternal Return is the installation inside what we sometimes call the Meow Wolf Art Complex. We're sitting in the Learning Center right now. Kids can come in here and play for free. There's creative materials, and we do classes and workshops. This is sort of a Learning Center area. We have a music venue inside the House of Eternal
I heard
Return.
about that. Where is that?
It's there's a staging area in the kind of the far back. When you're all the way in the back, and there's
In
a
the forest?
Be past the forest, past the tunnel with the TVs. If you go through the tunnel with the I tell you
I
what,
don't think I saw that.
you need to go back in, man. I know you got to get on the road to Austin, but
Yeah.
I was here 6 or 7 times before I started working here. I came 6 or 7 times before I think I'd seen most every room.
It's one of the things that I think I was actually literally describing this as the way I met some guys from a traveling band from North Carolina last night, and I was describing it to them. I was like, I think you can go 10 times and not see everything.
No question. We have people who come time and time again. And in fact, if you want to try to solve the story, you really need multiple trips here. And so we make family passes and annual passes available at really favorable prices because we know that the ticket prices are really fair, but if you have a family of kids or if you want to come multiple times just to, either to solve the story or just to kind of have a great time sit in those couches inside the trees and all that kind of thing. We want to make that affordable.
There were definitely a few spaces where I was like, okay, I wish I had maybe it's like spending a little more time in here.
Yeah,
like
man.
the treehouse.
Yes.
Like some of the spaceships.
Yes.
Things like that, and you're just like, I don't know. There was like I almost got stuck in the spiral staircase stuff. It's like
there's a ton.
I'm being slightly dramatic, but it was cool.
No, there's just so many. I've had that same thought. Like, gee, why don't I come in here and just work for an hour inside one of those tree houses or one of those spaces? I think people do come here to get imaginative and get creative and to get out of the world of interruptions and emails and screens and everything. You can come and just relax and just be and not have to feel like you have to tour the whole thing. Just inhabit one space for a while. I think it's a very popular date spot, and so you could kind of tour the facility, but you could also grab one of those kind of semi-private spaces like inside the Western Trailer or
that's a good one too.
You could just it's you could sit at that table in there with a date or with a friend and chat, make plans for your own artistic dreams or whatever it might be.
I had a journal with me. I wrote down some thoughts as I was coming through.
Perfect.
So same idea.
Yeah. So that's House of Eternal Return. It's a story, as I mentioned, and it's our first permanent exhibition. But Meow Wolf as an art collective does many other kinds of things. In addition to expanding to multiple U.S. cities, and those announcements are coming up very soon. The first ones,
we'll see. This is going to air in 2018, so maybe.
Okay.
Maybe it'll already be.
I certainly hope we've made some announcement by then. Yeah, but we also have a lot of other big plans. And, we were at the Life is Beautiful Festival this year, the Eclipse Festival. It debuted some wonderfully creative work. Mm-hmm. We also do smaller things like parklets here in Santa Fe, or we built a magnificently whimsical playhouse for a really special group called New Mexico Appleseed, who fights poverty at the systemic level. They don't treat the symptoms, which is important, but they treat cause of poverty. And so we built a playhouse for their annual gala where they, make lots of money. We auctioned it off, raffled it off.
Okay.
And so we do all kinds of projects like that, and starting to make films and animations.
Now, is Meow Wolf a nonprofit or is it for profit?
We are for profit. We have a nonprofit wing, a children's learning nonprofit wing called Chimera. But overall, we are for profit. In fact, over the summer we did a crowdfund. And it was the fastest regulation crowdfund in history of crowdfunding.
Wow.
We sold all the possible shares that were legal to sell in like under 48 hours.
That's wild.
It was really amazing.
So how many people work here today?
We're closing in on 200, and that would include the staff at House of Eternal Return here in the complex, but that also would include all of our artists in the creative studio side of Meow Wolf, all the makers, the fabricators, the painters, the sound people.
How many people were involved in putting that together?
Yeah, probably about 120, 125 had a hand in building this.
That is incredible.
And what's even further...
I might need to call it medium business war stories.
I saw your podcast and I thought that's cool that we still qualify as a small business.
Yeah, well, I think you guys have like the spirit of like of being part of a community. But like a lot of what I'm trying to do by going around the country is identifying a lot of these stories where people had a vision and are being a part of a community and they're bringing it to fruition. right? So that to me, to you guys are a great example of that. So that's why I wanted to talk
Yes. I'm so glad to hear your perception and your comment, because Santa Fe is not like Texas. We don't have a booming economy. New Mexico has that same issue. We don't have huge cities and major businesses that reside here. We do pretty good with tourism, but we struggle to provide jobs for our young people. Many of them leave for the big city. They go to Dallas, they go to Austin, Denver, LA, because there isn't opportunity here. It's been something that's gone on for generations in New Mexico. Meow Wolf were 21st century Nickelodeon generation, really technologically sophisticated, greatly ambitious artists.
Yeah.
And so they too probably should have made that migration out to those big cities. But they said, you know what? We are Santa Fe artists. We come from this kind of rebellious, anarchistic, do your own thing, have your own vision tradition that's gone on here for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
We love the chili. We love the mountains. We love the adobe architecture. Everything about this place is us, and we're of the tradition. We know we'll never play in the Canyon Road galleries. Our stuff doesn't go into galleries. There's no existing infrastructure here to support us.
And actually,
but we will.
it'd be hard to take it out of here, right? Like you can't take anything. Like it's all part of the space.
Well, yeah, and they just made a decision to add to the story and create their own vision, create their own economy by taking this chance, and it worked out. So it's a really good example of no matter what's going on, if you get together with your friends and you have the work ethic and you go for it and you have a big vision, you can create jobs, and not just jobs, but we pay artists. We pay well, our benefits are great, our spirit is very democratic. I've sat in this room and seen the artists in the collective tell the leaders in the collective, we don't like the direction you're going in, and seen that shift the conversation. It's not top down, it's bottom up, and in many cases. And so, it's a community story, it's an artist story, and a do-your-own thing, be an American entrepreneur story all the way.
Yeah. And do you see people who maybe left Santa Fe for a while? This is kind of a trend that I've seen is people who left Santa Fe, went maybe to New York to, name your big city. And then they're like, maybe like, in their late 20s or early 30s, and they're like, you know what, I'm going back.
You're a perceptive guy. Yes. Not only do we see that here in Santa Fe, that when we do lose some of our young, ultimately when it's time to have a family, things like that, they want to come back. The quality of life here is so wonderful, and many of them do come back. But what's really neat about Meow Wolf is artists who left but wanted to stay, but left because they felt they had to for opportunity, career purposes. They have been able to come back and be where they wanted to be and back with their friends and their family because Meow Wolf gave them that opportunity.
Wow.
We see a lot of stories like that, and it's deep, and it pulls at your heartstrings when you hear them talk about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, because you can have people come back here, raise a family, be a part of their community, feel like connection that you maybe don't have in bigger cities. And at the same time, like you said, have the opportunity to express your art. Have
that opportunity, and one of the neat things about Santa Fe, I don't know how familiar you are with the city, but it's a small town, and we're surrounded by nature, and there's no buildings over 2 or 3 stories high, but that's part of the code, and so you're always seeing the 3 mountain ranges that we sit between wherever you are. I could kind of go on and on about all the people here are so friendly. A traffic jam is when you miss your turn at the light and have to wait for another green. That's when we get mad. I know that's not how it is in Austin.
Yeah.
So we have all those qualities, and yet we have 400 art galleries, 250 restaurants, 19 or 20 museums. We have a lot of wonderful, great chefs, and amazing art festivals all year long, these incredible festivals. So we get a lot of culture and a lot of sophistication, but in that small town, surrounded by nature, chill vibe. And so if you can get a job here, if you can make it here as an artist or anything else, you kind of have the best of both worlds. And Meow Wolf has put has injected a lot of strength and power into that by providing so many jobs and just creating a lot of new vibrancy and awareness in the art scene and just our own version of Santa Fe weirdness. Not quite keep Austin weird, but we do our own version of it.
Well, yeah, you got to do you, man.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
You got to do you. That's awesome. So can you walk me a little bit through, so today you are talking about 120 artists and 200 people involved. That has taken 9 years or so.
Yeah, that's correct.
So what was it like in the beginning?
Well, it was really just a much smaller group of people. We have, 5 or 6 founders, and they were just, in the classic kind of really crappy DIY art spaces, probably not up to code, not necessarily safe. One of the things we've done is create a $200,000 plus DIY fund. Spaces around the country apply for the fund, and we give them grants, and also we give them advice. The ghost ship fire last December in Oakland was an enormous tragedy. People who'd worked on House of Eternal Return were lost in that fire.
Is that right?
And one of the things that we're putting a marker down is, look, artists get paid, and communities need to pay their art collectives and their artists because they beautify, they provide jobs, they provide safe spaces and cool things to do at night. And so we want to make sure that we give back and make sure that people understand how to fireproof these industrial type spaces that artists tend to grab at the low level prices. Putting them up to code, understanding how to be smart with welding and using other kinds of dangerous tools. So there's that issue with DIY spaces, and Meow Wolf was just another scrappy group that was using crappy spaces and trying to find places to have music shows and trying to get people to see their art, on no budget but just elbow grease and the love of creativity. And they did some cool and memorable exhibitions during those years. A lot of people think it all began with House of Eternal Return, but there was quite a number of neat projects, and you can go on our www.meowwolf.com site and see some of the archives of some of those previous things. But it was small scale.
It was
really.
smaller. It was different. Okay.
They did go to a few other cities from time to time. I think
Okay.
there was some in New Orleans, and some other things did happen. Before House of Eternal Return opened, they did 4 rooms at the Art Motel at Life is Beautiful 3 years ago. So there, we did start to spread our wings beyond Santa Fe, but there was no renown, no press, it was nothing like it is now. It was just small, scrappy DIY until House of Eternal Return opened, and everybody just kind of went nuts.
Yeah.
All ages, all tastes, no matter what you're into, you have a good time in there.
Oh, it's absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about if people want to start this in their communities, what sort of ideas and spark. Because not everybody has a best-selling author in their town that's willing to lay down the money.
Yeah.
What would you say is the number one piece of advice you would have for people who are thinking like, I have these ideas, I have this art? Because I think a big part of what makes you guys successful is that not only are you encouraging art, but you're making it profitable and you're making it something that pays, right?
Yeah.
Because ultimately, there's this bizarre notion in society that art should be free. So can you talk a little bit about that?
That's a great question. I think first of all, you have to have a big vision, and you have to deliver a special quality experience. So think big and get talented people, and make sure that you have put in the effort. I mean, these guys were working 18-hour days, 20-hour days. This was a totally empty concrete and steel. I saw it, concrete and steel, nothing. And it was about maybe 15 months from that to what you see in there now, with a few enhancements that have been done. So they worked and worked and worked. And so, you got to be willing to put in the elbow, you got to be willing to go for it, like an athlete, like someone who trains for the Olympics, anything like that. Part of it is you really better be dedicated and committed and ready to go for it and deliver some excellence. The other, I think one of the key pieces of advice that I would give, in addition to, being smart about trying to get some funding, money's money, and you may not have a George R. R. Martin, in your pocket, or someone who comes along like that, but there is crowdfunding and there are grants. We give grants, as I just mentioned, and state grants, city grants, federal grants. So get a smart person who knows how to put together a smart application on your team and get some of that cash. Be smart about that. Learn how to do that well. The other thing that I think that artists often aren't good at, and they almost feel like the world will come to them. I'm the artist. I'm great. Build it and they will come. And I've seen restaurant people do this, and other people do it. And I understand that you spend your whole life getting good at being an artist, and that takes almost a full-time commitment. But you have to get good at marketing and communications.
That's I'm so glad you're talking about this, because I think there is this. I play a little blues music, and I'm a little bit more in that world than the maybe visual arts world. But there is this that notion does exist, and there's also combined with that the notion of selling out, right? Of if you do the art for the art's sake and for the soul of it versus selling out. So talk to me about that. What are some of the things that you've seen that people have helped people get past that?
Yeah, I think, you obviously don't want to do anything that violates your ethics, or that, and we talk about that kind of thing here. We just launched a new product, the Experience Tube, and we have a mock infomercial about it. But now the holidays are coming up, and it's sort of like, all right, we really want to. This is an exciting product. We put years of effort into making it come out. But do we want to do Black Friday and Cyber Monday? Do we want to join the hordes and just hawk product? What can we? What's this? We got to get it out there. We gotta put it into the marketplace. But how do we do it in a way that's us, that's tasteful, and not just following the hordes, in that kind of gross Christmas selling thing? So we're trying to figure that out. And there's always a way. There is always a way. Marketing's not bad. It's how you do it. So I think that, obviously know what your principles are, know what your brand is, know what your character is, and so you understand what your boundaries are going to be and what your identity will be. And then within that context, though, Facebook, Instagram, these are godsends. You don't have to spend a ton of money on print advertising, TV advertising. You can, for free, get good at putting good images, good videos, telling your story on social media, and not only telling your story. Part of the, I always say social media. Imagine if you go to a party and you meet somebody and all you do is talk about yourself for the first 20 minutes. That's not social. So yeah, of course you're going to talk about your art and your thing on social media, but talk about your community. We do posts about Santa Fe. We do posts about other artists all around the U.S. We just put out interesting things to talk about New Mexico and cool things to do here. So we try to be an interesting person at the party and telling you about Meow Wolf, of course, often our shows and whatnot, our music, but we also tell you about cool people that we meet on our path and cool things happening in our state and our community and in our world that we think you should know about. And our followers love us for that. We turn them on to good things. And
so that's maybe a really good actionable tip, not just for artists, but like for
everybody.
Small business people in general.
Yes.
Is not just feature if you sell spoons, not just have a different spoon on there every day, but talk more about your community or what other people are doing.
I think that's a huge tip. Talk about partner with a nonprofit in your community that needs some help, and work together and cross promote and make sure that you're do some charitable things, even if you're struggling. Find a way. If you're an artist, even if you're struggling, do something with the schools. Do something. Beautify a crappy wall somewhere in partner and make it build something and raffle it off like we did for New Mexico Appleseed. Get involved and spotlight cool people and cool things well above and beyond just your own interests. I think that's a smart. Not only is it smart from a marketing and communications perspective, but it's just the right way to make friends and be a good actor in your community.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like be a good person. That's cool. The name Meow Wolf has a story to it. It is not. It's an amazing name, but it's. Do you want to tell a story real quick about that?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. If for folks who might know about Exquisite Corpse, it's a surrealist parlor trick, as it were. It's called Exquisite Corpse, and what the surrealist poets would do was cut up words and throw them into hats or containers and pull them out in various random ways and come up with some. You try it at home. I mean, you get amazing stuff when you do this. And of course, William Burroughs and Brian Geisen, the cut-up method. There's a great tradition in the arts of breaking through the linear and rational ways that our minds work by cutting through and doing random generation. Brian Eno in music did that. And so Meow Wolf, when they realized they were going to be a collective and they were going to go for it, they cut up some words and put them in hats. And they pulled out pairs. And at one point, they pulled out Meow out of one hat and Wolf out of the other. And they all were like, ooh, that's kind of weird. And then it became time to vote on the various combinations that came out. And Meow Wolf was the unanimous decision.
That's awesome.
And it ended up being kind of blessed because we are both, the cat and the wolf. There's some intense, edgy kinds of things you'll see in the exhibition, and then there's some very soft and whimsical and childlike things that you'll see.
Yeah.
And we kind of walk that line, and it's just become who we are.
That is awesome. That's really cool. And what you guys are doing now, you guys are also expanding your revenue sources beyond the place. You have merchandise and things like that, right? Is that something that people can buy online, or do you have to come here to buy it?
Man, you're very insightful. Or we're just about to launch our online store. I think this might be breaking news. It won't be when it airs, but we have a soft launch of our new online store any day now. literally any day now. Maybe they've even done the soft launch because yesterday it was scheduled. And then the official launch will be, the grand opening launch will be later in November. And so, yes, there's a wonderful gift shop here with our art and some consignment things from people in our community.
Cool.
One of our artists, Nico Salazar, has his own fashion line, Future Fantasy Delight.
I saw that. Yeah. The
cool.
the black T-shirts.
Yeah. And stickers and some really cool things. Again, we try to do things that are really fun and tasteful. And yes, now there will be an online gift shop where you can, order Meow Wolf stuff that you want to have or give gifts. Yeah.
But our audience should do themselves a favor, and if they're in the area, definitely show up in person, right? Because the true experience has nothing to do with the sticker.
No. I mean, merch is everybody does a little merch, and we like to do it and have fun with it. Some of those bumper stickers and pins and things are really neat, and I enjoy buying them too, and sharing them. But it is about the immersive, interactive storytelling experience. That's what we're really all about. That's what we're going to do in these other cities. And I mean, if this podcast has piqued your interest, or if you've heard about us, take a look at the reviews on TripAdvisor or on Facebook or on Google, any of those review sites. Yep. I'll let others do the talking.
Yeah, come ready to crawl, though. There's definitely, you'll enjoy the place better if you're willing to get on the floor in a couple places.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, some folks may not be up for that, seniors and things, and there's certainly plenty to do without that. But I mean, we there are some narrow passageways, there are crawl spaces, there are secret portals and mystery rooms.
Interesting fireplaces and fridges.
Yeah. You might want to check out the fridge. You might want to check out the fireplace. You might want to check out the laundry room, as you mentioned earlier.
The laundry room, the closet.
The closet, yes, indeed. So there, it's sort of like Alice in Wonderland meets Chronicles of Narnia meets, a wild science fiction story like you've never read before.
That's amazing.
And it's really something. Everybody just has a great time.
And you know what? I have to commend you on your hours. This is a weird thing to say, but your hours are great because they're like about 8, until 8 p.m. during the weekdays?
8 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, closed Tuesdays.
Okay.
And then to 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, which is amazing because a lot of places like this tend to close at 5 or 6. And I think that the fact that you are open later actually probably helps your engagement with the community too. People maybe at their job, right, and like have people come in later and things like that.
Yeah, and I'll give your readers a tip too. If they happen to be coming up in the summer, I know a lot of you Texans like to beat the heat, and I know you have listeners beyond Texas, of course.
Yeah.
But you like to beat the heat and come to Santa Fe. We're at 7,000 feet here. We don't have humidity. Our summers are really pretty mild, and there can be lines, especially on weekends during peak tourist season.
Oh, wow.
So the pro tip is to come about 4:35 in the afternoon. It really chills out. Everybody, goes to get dinner. They've had a long day of doing everything here in town, and so they go get a little respite or go to dinner. And so that's a sweet time to come here.
That's amazing.
And then you might come here and tour the house, and if there's a music show that night, then you can, boom, maybe get a music ticket and check out a great performance as well.
That sounds amazing. And
Yelp called us one of the top 10 music venues in the United States.
That
so
is
we're
wild.
already getting that recognition just as a music venue. And artists who could play places 2, 3, 4 times the size will come and play here because they just dig playing in such a far out
amazing.
space.
That's amazing. Where can people find you? So your address here in Santa Fe is?
The physical address is 1352 Rufina Circle. That's Rufina, 1352 Rufina Circle. We're in the Siler district, or what's now being called the Midtown Innovation District, kind of a new happening scene here in this industrial part of town. Rents are tough in downtown Santa Fe, and so artists do what they do. They go find the next space to go at. And that's the Siler district here. But it's just a few miles from downtown. Everything in Santa Fe is close in. And then, of course, you can get us at www.meowwolf.com.
Okay, and you also have your social media handles on Instagram?
Yeah, we're Instagram. It's Meow Wolf, I think, _1.
Okay.
And then on Facebook, Meow Wolf SF, I believe. I
Okay.
should know those by heart. It's like you don't know anyone's phone number anymore either. You
exactly.
just go. But yeah, you can find us easily on those channels, and you'll see a lot of really cool pictures and videos and neat things, give you a better taste
That's
of us.
That's amazing. Yeah. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with Small Business War Stories today and tell us the story of Meow Wolf. It's been an honor.
Pablo, thank you for coming.
I'll be
Thank
back.
you for such awesome questions. Please come back.
Thank you very much.
Anytime.
Thank you for listening to Small Business War Stories. If you enjoy the show, share it with a friend, or you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or on our blog at blog.proven.com. If you have an idea for us, we'd love to hear it. Please email us at podcast@proven.com. See you next time. Small Business War Stories. Small businesses are the soul of America. And this is where they tell their stories. I am your host, Pablo Fuentes.